Hi guys. It's Bank Holiday Monday here, and I'm hoping to do a little bit more of the epilogue. But first, I want to talk about something that has really annoyed me, um, and that is gatekeeping in gaming, because I have experienced a little bit of it in the past, but I had a comment the other day. A couple of days ago, I woke up first thing in the morning and I checked my phone, and somebody had posted a comment, and I read through it, and ooh, I tell you what, normally, or certainly until I'd had a whole bunch of therapy recently, I would have absolutely gone into a meltdown over it. And also, if I hadn't have played my way, pardon me, that's horrible. Pardon me. If I hadn't played my way through the entire game already, I possibly would have stopped. I would have felt so kind of embarrassed and bad about daring to show a normal person playing a game. I probably wouldn't have played anymore. And that is absolutely horrific. It's frankly abhorrent, and no one has the right to gatekeep gaming. And so I just wanted to quickly bring this up. So, for anyone who doesn't know me, pardon me. I have an illness called ME. It's sometimes called CFS. It used to be called CFS in the past. It's now much more called ME, which is a complex disease that presents with symptoms in multiple body systems, and it is a neurological disease. And the symptoms are post-exertional malaise, neuroimmune exhaustion. There's also a substantial loss of physical or cognitive function. Scores as more disabled on quality of life surveys than those with multiple sclerosis, stroke, diabetes, renal failure, lung disease, heart failure, and cancer. It is horrendous. So that's very much over my face, and I really have just woken up, and decided to do this. So, I have an illness before we even start that actually affects the way that my brain and my hands work together. And as I get more and more tired, it becomes worse. The signals don't get there properly, and there's often a delay. I have very little short-term memory these days. I used to be a secondary school teacher, history teacher. So I'm not, and I'll be saying I'm not an unintelligent woman, but unfortunately, since I got this illness, my short-term memory especially has been massively affected, and I find it very difficult to remember game mechanics. And so there are games that I really struggle with. For example, I had to stop playing Ori and the Blind Forest because it was mechanics based. I just couldn't do it quick enough. I tried a couple of hours of Hollow Knight, and I managed to get into one room and I couldn't get out of it, so that was bad. There was not a chance in hell of me ever playing a Dark Souls game or anything like that because of permadeath, and I'm never going to remember the way that you need to play certain things and the way you need to kill bosses, and it's just not going to happen, so there's no point in me even trying to play a game like that. And that's fine, I know this. This is why I play narrative-based games, or point and clicks, but that's the reason I play games like this. So, this is the message I got, and this was on maybe the fourth sort of video that I put out there, and it was only the other day, so somebody has just started watching, and this is what I got. Of all the playthroughs I've seen, this is bad, really bad. That's harsh. That was the very first sentence that I read when I woke up in the morning. And luckily, as I said, I am in a better place, and that's not going to completely and utterly it's not going to smash me around. I'm reading that as being quite kind of unemotional about it and actually sort of analysing this. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. YouTube, there's still a human being behind these videos, and that's something that so many people forget. That actually your words can hurt. Words hurt. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words have never hurt me or harmed me. Bullshit. Words can be incredibly, incredibly painful. So if you don't like a YouTube video, walk away. Just walk away. You don't have to watch something. There is no compulsion on you. When you start watching something and you think, this is not for me, this is not my kind of gameplay, there is no compulsion on you to carry on watching and then comment unpleasantly on it, to give it a thumbs down and to say, this is awful. It's like, well, it's not awful. It's just not the way that you play. Therefore, your comment is actually wrong, and the thought process behind it is actually unfortunately quite ignorant. So here we go. This is the second thing that was mentioned to me. I apologise for the bad cutting. I'm very tired. The first thing you messed up, was choosing to play a mechanics-heavy game when you surely have a problem with learning and remembering game mechanics. Okay, here we go. Let's break this down a little bit. Firstly, it's my fucking game. I bought it. I want to play it. And I will play it however the heck I want to play it. It is not anybody's right. And I'm using these messages and breaking them down, and it's very much a general plea out there to people. Stop gatekeeping. Just because I do not play a game, or anybody else does not play a game like you play a game, does not mean that it is bad and that the way we play it is bad. We are playing it for many different reasons. Also, for somebody who apparently loves this game and thinks it's the best game that has ever been made, in what way do you think that this is basically the most important thing about this game is being able to do the mechanics? Because it's not. If that was one of the most important things to the developers of this game, it would have permadeath. There would be bigger consequences. You would be actually at every point going back and sort of starting again. The fact that unless you're playing a mission, you just restart a checkpoint and it's fine. And if you get shot as you go or something happens, you die, you lose some money, you wake up, you carry on. And the thing is that when you die and you miss things and you miss shots and everything else, you see extra bits of narrative that you wouldn't have seen if you were perfect. And so that's the first thing. The messed up was choosing a game that has mechanics. But the thing is, this game is so beautiful and so narrative that the mechanics are completely secondary. And they are something that you can learn as you go along, but the most important thing is the engagement with the narrative, the engagement with the characters, and the sort of progression with the story as a whole and the decisions that you make. That, for me, is the most important thing. I also have, obviously, as I've just said, I have a chronic illness. I have a disability, which makes it very, very difficult for me to make my eyes and my brain work with my hands. That's just, and it's a problem, and I hate it, and I hate the fact that my short-term memory is really bad. So I might be able to do something once, but then I'm not going to remember might not remember the next time. I hate that. It's upsetting. It's really upsetting. So to have it commented on and to say that I shouldn't be allowed, basically, to choose to play a game that has mechanics in it is absolutely appalling. That is so ableist. It's actually beyond the telling of it. So there's something that people really need to consider. You need to think about what it is you're saying, because your comments do affect and do hurt, and unfortunately you actually come off looking like a bit of an idiot if you say things like this, unfortunately, because you're making comments about something that, well, it's just bullshit anyway, but you're making comments that are based on based on assumptions and based on sort of ableist ideals. So why shouldn't I, as a disabled person, be able to play a game? Or try? I am playing a game that I think is going to be beautiful and important, and it has been. And I've managed to get to the end. And you know what? I've done alright. So this is the next thing. The second thing you messed up, was choosing to play it off stream when surely you would have been aided by your viewers had you chosen to stream it instead. Okay. But if I had chosen to stream it and to be aided by my viewers, then that is focusing on the mechanics. And that is basically saying that backseating is okay and that it's a mechanics-based game, therefore it would have been better for me to play this game and completely focus on actually being good and somebody could have told me what to do to get through it. Not the point. Not the point. I have played God, it's just like, honestly, it's like the best. It is. I think it might be my favourite game ever. You are saying that I should have streamed it. And again, this is something that, this is not just this one person, this is a general thing that people think that they should be allowed to backseat your gaming. And that is wrong. It's wrong. You should not be able to backseat the gaming because you have had, generally speaking, you have had the chance to enjoy this on your own and to explore the game on your own and to make choices and decisions and to have an opinion of it that is your own. Why should I not have the same experience? Why should I have to play a game live so somebody else can basically sit next to me and tell me what to do? The reason I played it offline was so that I could listen to the narrative. And I know that for the first few episodes, I did not understand how it all worked, so I talked over things because I didn't understand that they were just going to suddenly talk because usually there's cues and I hadn't experienced that before. But I learned. And as the game went on, then I stopped and I paused and I listened and I learned. And so the narrative, as I've said, was the most important thing to me. Therefore, I played it offline so I could listen and I could engage and I could feel empathy and I could feel for the characters. If I'd streamed it live, I wouldn't have had that opportunity because somebody would have been talking in my ear whilst I should have been listening to something. There's only so much that you can do. The fact that you have been so unpleasant and said that it's messing up. Twice now I've messed up by daring to play a game not the way that you play, and I have played it in a way that you wouldn't, that you don't approve, that you don't agree that it was the best thing for me to do because you think it's mechanics based and that is you can do that. You can believe that that the most important thing is that I was good at the fighting and the gunslinging and everything else. Freedom of speech, and so on. But to me it wasn't. And maybe you didn't need to say any of this, and you certainly don't need to gatekeep. There's more than one way to play a game, and I'm not a monster by showing that somebody can learn, somebody can play a game, somebody can enjoy a game. I am not a monster by actually making that public and showing that you doesn't matter what your problems may be, if you have any kind of motor function issues, there are games out there that you can engage with and enjoy without having to be perfect. And I have done 40 something episodes of this game, and I have cried my eyes out at the end, and I have got there in a wonderful way. And just because I maybe missed some shots and my lassoing is rubbish, I can laugh about it, and I know that, and I accept that. And again, you don't need to gatekeep it, and you don't need to tell me what I should and should not be able to do. This is getting into this is quite a big rant, but it needs saying. It has been interesting. I've been struggling to continue watching. Okay, but you know what? Stop. Just stop. If you are struggling to enjoy something, you can walk away, and I'm kind of amazed that you didn't do that, and that people don't. Not just you, not just this person who I am using this as an example. If you do not like the way somebody is playing a game and they're not playing the game in the way that you want them to play it and that you would play it, and you know it's going to annoy you, walk away. There are hundreds of thousands of videos out there on YouTube. Just go. You do not need to keep doing this. I've restarted this video alone several times today in order that I might see something that would give me a glimmer of hope. Sadly and simply, I could not. That is so patronising, it's actually kind of nauseating. And if you think that you would have to have that glimmer of hope in one episode, like suddenly it's going to click. It does, but it takes time sometimes. People have to learn how to do things. Some of us are just kind of casual gamers, and we want to show that as a casual gamer, you can learn and you can enjoy things, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm doing it for me, not for you, for me. And the sort of horrible, patronising tone of that shows exactly what you think about somebody like me daring to play a game that you believe I shouldn't be able to play, and I almost shouldn't be allowed to play it. Sadly, I cannot. Well, that's great, and you know what? You could have just walked away, and you could have just not commented. You could have given it a thumbs down and walked away, but why did you spend all of this time writing an entire paragraph to insult me and insult my gameplay? I don't understand what your compulsion is to do this, and again, as I said, this is everyone who makes these kind of comments across the internet. Why do you think that this is something that you need to tell us? Also, when you know that somebody has played their way through an entire game, it's almost like you're kind of like, well, you've done it, but like kind of this kind of like cocksure, like, well, I'm better than you, and so I'm going to tell you exactly why I know that this is going to be rubbish. No, walk away. Stop it. You seem like a nice young lady. Don't let your patronising misogyny hit you on the way out of the door, sweetheart. I'm nearly 40 fucking years old. I can play what I want. I can do what I want. I have my own money. I can buy the games that I want when I want them. So, you know what? It's not your right to tell me what I can and cannot do. It's not your right to patronise me. It's not your right to make comments like that. I say again, with all of the kind of the goodwill in the world, I hope that you find what you're looking for, and I hope everyone does on the internet, because it's a big bloody place and there is something for everyone out there. If what I do is not for you, don't spend time watching. If anybody who is doing this, if it's not for you, don't watch. There are so many there are so many people out there playing games like Red Dead Redemption 2. You can find somebody who you are happy with. It's like people who complain about people who play games on easy mode because they want to hear the story, they want the narrative. Again, you're gatekeeping. Anybody can play any game in any way they want. It is not your right as a person watching to tell us or anyone what they can and cannot do. And if you're the kind of person who would do that to a real life person in real life, you really need to check yourself. However, if your attitude is different on the internet, again, check yourself. Would you say this in real life to somebody, to some random stranger? Would you just go up to them and be like, yeah, no, I don't, you shouldn't be playing this game. You're not good enough. Would you do that? Probably not, because you probably get punched. Or certainly something along those lines would happen. You just wouldn't. Oh, I bloody hope you wouldn't. In the same way, have some respect for us. Have some respect for us as human beings. Have some respect for us as people who just want to enjoy games as much as you do. And we do not need you to tell us what we can and cannot do, and tell us why we're wrong, and tell us why the way we're playing a game is wrong. There are going to be some people out there who are going to enjoy watching the journey that we go on. Leave us to them. We listen, we learn, and we enjoy the connections that we make with people who have the same kind of understanding and same kind of desires for gaming as we do. We do not need any toxicity in our life. We just don't. So that's my plea to anybody who has started watching a YouTube video and thinks to themselves, God, this is bad. This is not. The mechanics, just don't remember anything. There's a little button that you can close it down and go elsewhere and spend your time doing something differently. I don't care. But remember, it is not your right. General internet out there, it's not your right to gatekeep a game and tell us how we can play and what we can play and why we shouldn't play something. Stop it. Just stop it. Okay. Thank you. Now go do something productive.